Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Self-isolation is not a prison sentence, but it's the safest way to protect the people around you from possibly getting sick. Continue to comfortably buy your groceries and whatever you need, even when in quarantine. Use Coop Bank's e-banking to transfer funds to a close friend or family member's account and get them to do your shopping for you. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Coop Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, the swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we get, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Untitled underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast tour at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Good evening, folks. Welcome to my 91st Independent Live session. And of course, my 37th for 2022. As many unthinkable things continue to happen around us, to tease us into thinking that all is lost among us. Our topic for today's discourse is pride you express to others is ego, useless, in other words. Pride you express silently to yourself is real pride. Goody folks, ego is proving to be a big problem for many of us and seem to be the root of most misunderstanding, confusion, and conflict. Come on, folks, share the live. Let's get more people in the room because this is tremendously instructive here this evening. And you would be able to sit down at home and say, oh, that's what my problem is. Oh, that's what his problem is. Oh, that's what her problem is. Because you see, we cannot heal unless we know. Good? So I have been taught a long time now that when ego is at the center of any misunderstanding, confusion, and conflict, it is because the parties involved are usually empty and baseless and need to vaunt themselves to make up for their serious lack. It is already established that When we are proud of ourselves, we show it, we feel it, and we know it. You see, there's some people that say, "A first he think he nice, a first she think she nice," folks, and the only person that think you nice is them. You must operate from a place and space of confidence. You must not think you're nice. You must know that you're nice. You see, pride is peaceful service, joy-filled sharing, inner knowing that there is more to come. You see, inner knowing, confidence. Pride does not argue to be right, push to get ahead, step over others to get there, and forget them once it does. Pride is gentle. Pride is calm. Pride is forever balanced. You see, pride is also pleasant. Pride is grateful. Pride is peaceful, patient, and poised. Pride is secure. Pride is also mastery. But most of all, pride is silent. We must all affirm that we are gently, calmly, silently proud of who we are. For us to really appreciate pride for what it truly is and silently express it to ourselves, we must be of sound character. I say this to say that every one of us at almost every moment is either part of the problem or part of the solution. At one time, we may be part of the problem, making things difficult to others, as the man who used the power of state to make things totally different for people like Dorset Charles and so many others. At other times, we may be part of the solution, making things easier. What a pity, the latter is seldom. Now, if we hurt people's feelings, or we get our own feelings hurt, which may be worse, of course, we are part of the problem. If in the middle of life, with all the facts ventilated and hung out in the open to dry, we stubbornly refuse to recognize or take full account of the facts presented, as many of us continue to do because of our warped political leanings, one side or the other, that is, we are certainly part of the problem. But you know, if it considering what stand we shall take in a controversy, instead of projecting our own interests, we think only of what is good for all concerned, we are part of the solution. If we do our part, and we are concerned about what is good for our community, then we are part of the solution. If in dealing with every matter, we are moved by reason and love, then we are part of the solution. The public man should have no difficulty in seeing himself as others see him. All he has to do is to remember that the conduct of his life is the true mirror of who he really is. After all, a man's character is revealed by what he has, or what has the power to upset him. If we are easily upset, of course, we are lightweights, and we need to defeat the demons within our very selves before we can address what is hurled at us. We have seen many a man who vaunt themselves publicly, and when they have the power of state in their hands, take people to court left, right, and center in an effort to protect their character, or so they put it, forgetting that character is who you are, and no one can destroy that. But you see, such insecure people use character and reputation interchangeably, and therefore they get it all wrong. Character, folks, is who you are, while reputation is what others think of you. And what others think of you, they're on their own with that, because you cannot tell someone how to interpret you. When you therefore take care of your character, you don't expect your reputation to take care of itself. But that can only happen through consistency of your character, who you are. So when the size of what it takes to upset you increases, so too your substance and stature increase. When this occurs, we are part of the solution more than we are part of the problem. A character standard many of us were taught early in life is far better than a gold standard. The success of all people, all businesses, all economic systems is still dependent upon righteous leaders and righteous people. I therefore beckon each and every one of you to take care of your character so that your reputation can take care of itself. Be careful now that you don't get the order mixed up. And through a lack of humility, you lose your way. Pride you express rather to others is nothing but ego. Useless, in other words. But pride you express silently to yourself is real pride. So folks, let's take a little respite here and we come right back for more.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited, Antillian Group, Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during EDDIE-FICATION are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Lovely. Well, folks, I'd like to welcome you back, but of course, you know, at this juncture, we usually pay homage, respect to those of you who are online, Lydia, Carl, Samantha, Nat, Leslie, who else do we have here? Maria, Doris, Sonia, long time no see, girl. Welcome to the live. Yolande, we have Michelle, and we have Christiana. Lovely. Welcome, folks. And on this other platform, we have, let's get it from the top. We have Jennifer, Winsome, Nakisha, Kerry Ann. We have Kathleen, Nicole, Charmaine, Tamika, or Tamaika, David, and Sawandi, my dear friend, blessings. Silvani, Toby, Vivian, Margot, Elisa, Jillian, Irva, Reginald, Dred. Who else do we have here? Monica, Yulene, another Sonia. Let's see. Linda, Val, Hillary, long time no see on the live, my dear, but I'm sure you listen otherwise or you view otherwise. Elise, Sue, it's a while since you have been on, but of course you're on the YouTube channel here this evening, so welcome, my dear, welcome. I don't know if I said Theo earlier, but I'll say it again. Mary, Brenda, We have also Trisha, Marlene, Betty Ann, Joanne, Cherry-Ann, Kelvin, Curtis, Cool, Gloria Jean. Well, you know, in Haiti they say Gloria Jean. But anyhow, be that as it may, welcome, folks. Welcome, welcome. It's lovely to have you. And of course, the subject matter we're discussing this evening, or we rallying around, pride you express to others is ego. Pride you express silently to yourself is real pride. And ego seems to be a big, big, big problem in Grenada today, where a lot of empty vessels running around, vaunting themselves and playing important. Woo. Folks, it is much more important to be nice. So those of you who thinking it is nice to be important, always remember, through humility you will understand that it is much more important to be nice. Good. Remember how you go up. Take your time to go up. And remember the people who helped you on the way up, because on the way down you might see them. Put a little humility in your life, folks. Take it light. All the bragging and all the talking and all the woo and all the vexation and all the thing is your ego, that false pride you're trying to protect. People who have real pride don't behave so. Good. I remember a particular woman who had a lovely profession. Oh man, when she failed in that profession, nobody had anything good to say about that woman, unfortunately. She was so unkind on her way up. So much so she went into a particular professional's office one day and had to straighten the people out in there. And for no reason at all. That's just who she is. And on the way in, the boss actually saw her. And you know what the boss said to her? Somebody that looks like you have no right to be behaving the way you are behaving. Yikes! But she looked for that. I am sure that tortured her. Tortured her, because you could just see ugliness is not how broad your nose is spread across your face, you know, folks. Ugliness has nothing to do with that, you know, or how thick your lips are. No, ugliness has to do with what you allow to escape from the inside out. Some people, you just look at them. You could look at them from the back and you see ugliness because the vibrations they radiate, just not good. Not good at all. Whereas from the back, you could look at somebody and you see presence because that person is radiating confidence just by how they stand, just by how they speak, just by how they dressed, how they appear, the vibrations that are emitted. Do what? Folks, ugliness is what you allow to come from the inside out. Come on, folks, share the live because we have a lot more. Very instructive here this evening for you to understand there's nothing wrong with ego, you know, but it must be tempered with humility. Because ego tempered with humility only spells confidence. 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 A lot of people who have no confidence or don't know if they're up or they're down always misconstrue confidence with arrogance. But arrogance has to do with ego, an abundance, a surfeit of ego results in arrogance. But you know, folks, when crisis strikes, we are usually led effortlessly to valley experiences. These are the times when we describe ourselves as being at our lowest. But in the midst of a valley experience, the temptation is to look at all the things we can't do and list the reasons why. Our very ego always encourages us to hold on to our limitations. Ego is bound by what? In the box thinking. It always seems easier to look at what is wrong rather than stretch to what could possibly be just fine. The public service, oh Jesus, when you get to the managers of the public service or senior operatives within the public service, it's as if they train them to tell you why something must not be done. And they have a PhD in that. Because they don't want to do it. To do it is to walk. And they don't want to walk. So they have all sorts of verbiage pre-packaged and waiting for you to tell you why something must not be done or it can't be done. But if, for instance, we could see things as perfectly fine, just the way they are, no matter what they are, we might realize that we are also fine. For some of us, this is a far stretch, but that's fine, and so are you. If you're alive, you don't think that's fine? If you have a vision for tomorrow, that's fine. People might be pressuring you or upset with you. Trust me, that's fine too. You will get over it. If you can remember a time, any time when you were in a fix, a jam, a place in your life you did not want to be, hello, that's fine. Didn't you get over it? Now, can you remember that you are not where you were anymore? Or realize you made it through somehow? Haven't you always got what you needed? And when you didn't, you made it through anyway, didn't you? Perhaps things did not work out the way you wanted them to work out, but they are turning out. Most important of all, they are turning out to be just fine. So after all, you see, no matter what, it's fine. I remember an old American who made Grenada her retirement home. She loved this place so badly. She said once, the thing about Grenada is that nothing seems to work. But interestingly, they all work out in the end. Isn't that beautiful? Folks, I always ask people in sessions I may do from time to time, where's all the worries you had last year? You realize some of them are time sensitive. Some of them disappear with time. But some of them have been replaced by even more pressing worries or concerns or challenges. But that's fine. And we live with them. We live with them. So what? Things work out in the end. You see, ego is proving to be one of the biggest challenges among us here in Grenada. For genuine transformation to take place, whether within ourselves or in our various communities, and in the way we conduct our business, individually or collectively as a nation, we all need to re-examine our ego state. By definition, an ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. To have an ego is essential to our very makeup, but it will define who we are and how we connect with others. Ego becomes an issue when it becomes overpowering. Everyone has an ego, whether big or small. The challenge is to balance it with humility. So in as much as we all suffer moments of depression and self-doubt from time to time, modesty and humility can be the result of such moments, and these two important characteristics are qualities of great people. We have seen 3 humble men rise up in this country to become prime ministers long before any of those who vaunted themselves, continue to vaunt themselves, and even expressed openly and publicly their desire to assume such office. Let's start with Sir Nicholas Alexander Bradford. Never in his wildest dream did he ever express or had any feeling of being a Prime Minister of Grenada. Tillman Thomas, same. And now, oh boy, Deacon Mitchell. Never one day did they state any intention to so become. Yet for all, their humility and their modesty rewarded them with such opportunity. These are men that were never known for boastfulness, never behaved in any manner to show off themselves as the main acts in any room. Yet, they were, in case of one is Prime Minister. The two were, and one is currently Prime Minister. In fact, no negative aspersions could be cast in their direction relating to corruption, dishonesty, bubble, nastiness, graft, incapacity, fake, and all the other attributes that characterized the longest serving local in that office here in Grenada. You know, Robert Gordis tells us, quote, "Pride is a deeply rooted ailment of the soul. The penalty of misery, the remedy lies in the sincere, lifelong cultivation of humility, which means true self-evaluation and a proper perspective towards the past, present, and future," unquote. Humility is the truest abstinence in the world. It is abstinence from self-love and self-conceit, from flaunting our own praise and exploits. Humble men and women are ambitious, but not greedy, and consequently make the best friends and the noblest leaders. Isn't that interesting? We all know people who are always ready to level those above them down to themselves, while they are never willing to bring those below them up to their own positions. Just come from a system presided over by such inferior leader. Oh boy. When expressing true humility, we are willing that all should rise just as far as their diligence and worth of character entitles them. And on the other hand, we are willing that our superiors should be known and acknowledged in their place and have rendered to them all the honors that are their due. Some years ago, Spurgeon, a one-time English preacher, advised, quote, "Humility is to have a right estimate of one's self, not to think less of himself than he ought. The higher a man is in grace, the lower will he be in his own esteem," unquote. You see, humiliation should never be confused with humility, for humility is not a weak and timid quality. The quality of humility keeps us from putting ourselves first. It is the highest form of self-respect to admit mistakes and also make amends for them. Humility leads to strength and never to weakness. It is a great thing to be humble when someone has put us down. But to be humble when we are being praised rarely is a great and rare attainment. So I'm sure you now agree with Ruskin when he said, quote, "The first test of a truly great man is his humility," unquote. Without the temperance of humility, ego is oftentimes destructive. And that is precisely why pride you express to others is ego, useless. Pride you express silently to yourself is real pride. Let's take another break and we come back to the third segment.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and/or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5-Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all.
Oh yes, welcome back, folks. Welcome back. And for those of you just joining us, welcome to this Edification 133. And of course, the topic, pride you express to others is ego, useless. Pride you express silently to yourself is real pride. And of course, I think a lot of us were beaming with pride today to see our spanking new and young Prime Minister, fresh Prime Minister, against the tiled wall of the United Nations, making his maiden address and making sense. A speech that can be relevant for years. A speech that was simply delivered, but full of scholarship. Simply delivered, but pregnant with relevance for the issues of the world, for the issues of the region, and for issues as small developing states. The same can't be said about a lot of other people. Sad, sad, sad. But folks, forward, we're moving forward. Welcome back. Ego is stolen. Confidence is earned. Ryan Holiday. It is to be realized that greatness comes from humble beginnings. Come on, folks, keep the live sharing. Nearly all the people who have excelled in careers or in life in general are of humble beginnings. It means that you start off being the least important person in the room until you change that with desirable results. Ego tells us that we need success now. It replaces action and progress with a false sense of reality. We fall to pretend stories and made up versions of who we are, but they mean nothing. We see it on Facebook. Wife wishing husband happy birthday as if, well, they don't live in the same house. Husband wishing wife happy birthday as if they don't live in the same house. Mother wishing children happy birthday as if. And when you do some stuff, cat and dog, they're living like in the house, you know, sad. But they put out that persona of niceness. Pretend stories. You see, because they have to satisfy their ego. When a child knows how to gossip and chatter, where they learn that from? But anyone can do that. What's rare is silence. That is rare. The ability to deliberately keep yourself out of the conversation and subsist without outside validation. A lot of people need to be validated. Silence is moving forward and creating every single day. You have to create. Ego is the enemy of what you want and what you have, of mastering the craft, folks, of real creative insight, because it takes what most important and deems it insignificant. The struggle, the uncertainty, the doubt, the things that not only light the path to success, they are the very foundation success stands on. These things keep us humble, folks. They make us students. They show us that the best never stop learning, because with certainty comes the depth of creativity. As Richard Feynman states, you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. When you fall into the trap of seeing recognition as the goal or status as the finish line, you will fall short time and time again. Triumph lives in a purpose much larger than yourself. From a focus not on being, but doing, on driving towards a target, reviewing a single question. Are you doing what you set out to do? Are you willing to endure what most don't? Put in the hours, and hours that go unnoticed for that matter. The struggle that goes unrecognized, and that incremental progress that goes unseen. Are you willing to let go of the ego and become the best possible version of yourself? I can think of several local people who come from humble beginnings, but made it big, either in their personal lives or in their professions, and in some cases, in both. Eric Gary, Hilda Bino, Kirani James, Dr. Francis Alexis. And a lot of us in Grenada have no respect for this man's legal prowess. He's a constitutional lawyer with a PhD, not from Phoenix University and all this kind of old Walipang University, but from Cambridge. Cambridge and Oxford, as it relates to the colonial past, are regarded as the Bentley and the Rolls Royce of educational institutions in the world. His constitutional background in law is sought after by the entire Commonwealth. But who is Dr. Francis Alexis? Of humble beginnings, but look at how he's larger than life in his profession. Sir Nicholas Bradford, J.W. Fletcher, E.R.L. Hines, and of course, a young man that has just pivoted from being a mammothly successful legal mind here in Grenada into politics, Deacon Mitchell. Humble beginnings. And these are just to name a few. I am one who firmly believes that ego is not all wrong, but to be bombastic with it is to attract the laughter of others at you when the inevitable goes wrong. We have people who are dead wrong, very limited in capacity, capabilities, and competence, and will not humble themselves so they can grow out of that state of lack of knowledge, and instead they vaunt themselves in a manner that creates more lack, this time of friends and associates who find it necessary to remove themselves far away from such negative backward energy. And that is why the confidence we come to the table with must be tempered by humility. For when one is concluded to be unassuming, he is under-promising, and when the opportunity arises, he will always over-deliver. A person whose ego is properly placed will most certainly agree with Sarah Vaughan's words. I am not a special person. I am a regular person who does special things. Too many of us in this life want to be singled out, patted on the back and rewarded for what we do. It may never happen. However, that does not mean what we do is not valuable or worthy of recognition. We are all provided with the ability to do. What we have not been taught is to do just for the sake of doing it without pursuing rewards or recognition. When you do what you can for the sake of doing it, the reward is an improvement in your skills. Isn't that beautiful? When you use what you know to do what you can, and someone else benefits, that is recognition, folks. We all have a need to be appreciated for the contributions we make to the world. We must therefore learn to recognize our own value before the world can respond to our needs. Some of us will plant the seed and never see the plant. Some of us will harvest the crop without knowing or meeting the planter. Some of us will eat the plant, paying someone else to prepare it. When the process is complete, we will all be rewarded, recognizing how special the process has been to us all. So everyone who works on a team, for instance, TEAM, together, everyone achieves more. But you see, a lot of people in retail feel to be part of a team, it means thief everything all the time for myself. Whether in the private or public sector, everyone who works on a team, whether at the leadership or line level, or for that matter in government at the legislative or executive level, we are each required to do our part, and we each will be rewarded when others do their part. Stuart Wilde, a British writer best known for his works on New Age, self-empowerment, and spirituality, is recorded as having penned, quote, "The ego needs recognition. The spirit does not need to thank itself," unquote. If our leaders in the various spheres of life are genuine about working successfully through others, we all know where the praise should go. But that is not to be, as the ego usually wants to be noticed. It needs stroking, pumping up, and the limelight. If on a team you have one bright spark that the public seem to love, and he or she is a go-getter, full of the right energy and presents as the go-to person for things to get done in that entity, you would find loafers on the said team and other team members who don't have a clue but love to give off the impression that they are Lord Haw-Haw, criticizing the go-getter behind his or her back, of course. But you know, when the go-getter finally gets to find out this is how some of his colleagues or her colleagues feel about him or her, he or she pulls back and the energy drops. And whatever level of effectiveness the team was experiencing on account of the efforts of that one go-getter drops drastically. Such negative energy becomes a bit of a drag on the enthusiasm of the whole. What causes this to happen? Envy and jealousy of misfits who have no level and are therefore out of place on the team that is charged with any responsibility for growth and development of any entity. Could you imagine if this is to go on, let's say, in a government or among the senior managers of a large business, an organization, or even in society in general? Just saying. People need to check their egos at the door before entering anything where teamship is required for the success of the whole. When we take up the challenge to be part of a team, we are agreeing to work towards one common goal. But you see, many of us treat the team that we are on as if we are just in a group. Everybody in a group generally has different objectives, while all members of a team share one common goal. You see, the simplest way for me to explain the difference between a team and a group is as follows. A group walks onto an elevator. A team develops when that elevator gets stuck, when it's broken down. You see, when each member of that group walked onto the elevator, they were headed to different floors and therefore had different goals in mind. But when the elevator got stuck, even though they may not have greeted each other when they each entered that same elevator, the common goal of getting out of this stuck elevator bonded them together. They became a team, all of whom end up with one goal: getting out. So whether it is a government, a medium to large business or corporation, or even a small business, everybody who works there must have a common goal to make it work sustainably so they can individually continue to take care of their family and also their standard of living and quality of life. But too often we see the ego leading many of our people to show a need to compete just to prove they are better. This said, ego senses danger around every corner, difficulty in every challenge, and trouble coming through everyone. Because ego breeds insecurity. The ego can never be enough or have enough, like we have seen with many leaders who do not have a concept of enough. The goal of the ego is to be well liked and authorized because, for some reason, it does not feel qualified. Interestingly, the spirit is qualified by light, the light of truth, peace, joy, and love. It does not seek to condemn, condone, or compromise what it is. It simply knows and is that. The spirit does what it can and moves on to something else. It does not ask for an award or wait for rewards. It is just spirit being spirit. And what is spirit? Light. You see, one of the difficult problems in the world is the competition of egos. They want to be noticed and applauded, so they compete for dominance. When we truly understand that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, we will no longer have a need for recognition. We will do what we can because we do it by virtue of the light of spirit. You see, some of you who know what I have shared here thus far falls in your pot. You need to just affirm to yourselves that today I will go unnoticed. Come on, folks. Affirm that. Today I will go unnoticed. That's the beginning of humility. Ego is all about what you do, while humility is all about how you feel about what you do. It is possible to take a simple idea and create a huge success, folks. We are living through an example of this, with the current Prime Minister pivoting from his successful legal career to politics, and with just a dream and focused hard work, in a few short months, he became successful, overrunning and overturning altogether a 15-0 victory of his opponents to 9-6, something that many never thought was possible. Humility, folks, is powerful because you see, people got fed up with ego. Usually we think the people who accomplish their dream have others to support them, forgetting that it all starts with a dream and being prepared to put it to work to so accomplish. What we do not see, or rather refuse to see, is the positive attitude, which is the most valuable asset they own, as we all do. Ego may tell many of us who are not prepared to do the work that we have a right to be at the top. But truth be told, it is your very bombastic personality that is playing this trick on you. The people who at the top, these egotists, must be told they did not fall there. Humility, folks, is powerful, according to Coy Sharon. They were willing to do whatever it took, taking the ups and downs, asking for what they really wanted, and staying focused until they got it. It takes a lot of humility to build up such staying power, folks. Ego drives the man who feels success is bought or inherited. Success, therefore, is a product of what we put out. It begins with a good feeling about where we are and a positive attitude about where we want to be. Be careful now that you do not get the order mixed up. Through a lack of humility, you lose your way. Because pride you express to others is ego. Pride you express silently to yourself is real pride. Let's take a final break and we'll come back to our last and final segment.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
The strength of views and opinions expressed during edification are not necessarily a reflection or representation of the sponsors and or affiliates of this program.
Eddie Frederick has got it all.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of edification. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence. Spice Island Beach Resort.
Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and
Lovely. Well, folks, welcome back. And this is my final segment here. Before we take off, it is said that nothing beats these two powerful words, thank you. Gratitude to everyone. You know, it's very, very important. I just had a little distraction there. My dog was acting up, wanting to go outside. Sorry about that. You see, gratitude and appreciation to everyone is important. And we have a lot of people. And because we are a young population, it means that somewhere along the line, people like us, we failed. And we failed our children miserably. A lot of our children do not know how to say thanks. And it's not about just saying it, but showing appreciation. It's very, very sad. They take things for granted. They do not seem to understand that these two words, thank you, mean a lot. Just recently, you know, folks, I was thinking to myself, for all the things I do for people willingly, you know, it's not very often do I feel the love through profound gratitude and appreciation coming back. We have a lot of takers in this society. Not enough givers in this world. Our simplistic minds cause us to think that we have to be able to give something tangible to someone to be relevant to them. Our genuine friendship most times, folks, is enough. The bonds I have forged over the years, the meaningful ones those are the ones that I feel love radiating through and through all the time. I have a lifelong friend whom I forged a bond with for the last 50 years. And interestingly, he is enormously successful in his field, yet for all remains humble enough to check in on me regularly. He never leaves our discussion without saying how much he appreciates me and what I bring to the table of our friendship and lifelong association. Now that is brotherhood. I have another who is, just by the way, he and his other siblings interact with me I feel the kinship to the point where nothing can get in between us. In fact, many people have tried, failed miserably. All of this to say, tangible things shared between friends are never as important as the things of spirit, which connect deep on the inside. So just when I was thinking about the lack of appreciation and genuine gratitude other people share, maybe towards me from time to time, in spite of me giving so much of my time and self to them, I received a knock on my consciousness to reassure me that all is not lost. Of course, I wouldn't be calling any names here because the person or people did not do what they did for me to be, calling their names here today. I must have done something for a gentleman and a gentleman sometime back in July when he insisted that I charge him. I bluntly refused, as it was truly a pleasure to serve in that capacity. I saw the service to his needs at that time as a blessing and proof that although I do not have and maybe cannot measure up to his material possessions, I at least have something he does not have, and hence he asked me to supply same. His immediate expression on record of his appreciation on account of how well things worked out with the service I provided was well noted. And I thought, well, that was the end. As if that were not enough, I received a call from a source that I had no idea, advising me that they have a delivery for me of a gift basket. When asked from whom, it was all part of the surprise. My immediate response was, okay. Arrangements were then made to have this basket delivered. Well, folks, this was the most efficient and timely delivery, and the total quality of the contents of the gift basket was another marvel, reflective of the substance of this gentleman and gentleman. Needless to say, I had the most rewarding Friday. Compliments this gentleman and gentleman, who is known for his thoughtfulness and mindfulness. Thank you, sir. You know who you are. I hasten to add, he runs an excellent ship, even though small but highly successful, and his entire team take their cue from his sound, value-centered leadership. Anyone joining that working environment is never the same. Lots of good things rub off on them, and all the undesirable things of their poor prior social exposure disappear. Folks, that's the effect we are meant to have on others. In this vein, allow me to share two private expressions of appreciation I received on the heels of last week's Edification 132. Under the topic, of course, it is always better to remain silent and thought a fool than to speak up and remove all doubt. The first comes from someone who has been in education for most, if not all, of his working life. Quote, Master Frederick, I was very impressed with what you shared, Edification 132. I thought I was in the minority for holding those very same views. I have observed the societal denigration and deterioration you speak of for many years. You touched on so many pertinent areas, and it really hit home. I have been an educator for over 30 years. I began straight out of IFE in 1982. In the heart of the revolution, and have noticed how irrelevant our education system has become post-revolution period. We are definitely preparing students to be certified and not educated. We focus on the number of subjects passed and not on the cultivation of traits that will allow our young people to become productive citizens. We are now living in an instant coffee society that teaches our young people to get everything now and not see the value of struggle, hard work, and sacrifice. We have lost this completely. Education is not just about acquisition of knowledge, but it is also about building character and refinement. These are the things we have to recapture if we are to build a proper society. We can change 1,000,000 governments, and these governments can mean well, but if attitudes are not changed, we will be spinning our tops in mud. Bad attitudes are the hardest things to break. But let's begin here. Your program is definitely helping to do that. Kudos to you. There is a lot more I can speak about, but I will not continue to burden you. It may be instructive to note that there are lots of Grenadians who have been quiet observers of how much our society has been midgetized, but simply did not vocalize their views for one reason or the other. It does not mean they necessarily supported it. As mentioned above, our nation needs to move from the instant coffee syndrome to the percolated coffee way of life, where the changes that we make can have a sense of permanency. Please continue the excellent work. I am always listening. Blessings. Unquote. The second one, Mr. Frederick, I was delighted to hear you say that according to Bob Marley, if the bad people are not taking a day off, what should good people, or words to that effect? I firmly believe that anyone who feels, you or anyone who is prepared to stand in the gap to defend this new administration must stop this and instead turn the cheek. They have got to be part of the problem. I take my hat off to you and anyone else who is prepared to stand and be counted. After all, those who feel deprived of the largesse of the past administration are definitely not taking a day off to criticize and wish the administration bad, and they must be met with stiff pushback, according to you. I like the way you drop it on them without fear of what they might say. One thing that struck me is your consistency over the years. You never one day found anything to appreciate about the past administration and its diabolical leader, to quote you. And if one really listens to you carefully, one would realize that your poignant comments and revelations ought to really and truly ignite a fire deep down in their souls to pay attention and see the transgressions of the past administration, which according to you had the best chance to do good for and by Grenada, and instead chose to go the route of self-enrichment while the poverty rate increased, swallowing up many of the nation's youthful population over the years. I was one who found you very biased in the beginning of listening to you. But when I started to really pay attention to your utterances, I began to realize that the old Mitchell was really and truly bad for this country all along. I am glad that I continue to follow you, as I can see clearly now that many fellow Canadians truly need to be protected from themselves. According to you, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. And if only they would listen attentively, they would learn so much. Fortunately for me, I consider myself to be blessed to have someone like you in my lifetime to listen to, so I can learn and be better informed for it. I was speaking with some friends recently, and we all came up with a happy consensus that it was a good thing our parents introduced us to listening to you way back when. And to this day, we have not stopped. I am particularly pleased to hand you over to my children, now by way of inviting them to listen to you when I tune in, either live or after the fact. My oldest son thinks for a man your age, you seem to be very current in your thinking. He's now 19 and attends SGU. He also remarked how commanding your voice is, and he wished he had you as a teacher because you give life to whatever subject you address. Keep up the good work, and remember that not everybody will wish to commend you, but your work is appreciated by many. All the best, sir. Unquote. It would be remiss of me, folks, if I did not record my heartfelt appreciation and gratitude to these two contributors for really reaching out to assure me, like you who join me live and make your comments, that I am not speaking to myself. As I conclude here today, I beckon each and every one of you to seek spiritual growth. Stop mixing up religion with spirituality. They are not interchangeable. One is watered down devotion to man's warped and convoluted view of who and what God is, while the pastor of that enjoys a great life at the congregation's expense. In other words, is business he doing? That, according to Professor Patrick Lumumba of Kenya, is the Jesus industry, while the other gives you a perspective on your own existence according to the connection you have developed with your inner higher consciousness. Spiritual growth results from absorbing and digesting truth and putting it to practice in daily life. We all know, for instance, when there is trouble and trauma, we have a tendency to become real spiritual. We pray, we say we believe, and usually we collect the miracle we expect. I have lived long enough to see this play out after our 1973-74 pre-independence crisis. The entire life of the revolution, which turned out to be not what many expected, through the sordid climax of the revolution, which made us feel all was lost and that we would have all died. When Hurricane Ivan came and devastated us all, when we had a respite from all the corruption, scandal, victimization, and spite in 2008 to 2013, during the coronavirus pandemic of 2020 to 2022, when we really did not have a clue how it will pan out and whether we will live or die. And recently, with the liberation that we received on June 23rd, 2022. As soon as we appeared to have received the miracle we prayed for, then we go back to being our normal human self, doing the same human things that got us into trouble in the first place. What we don't understand is that our issues in life are determined by the level of our very own consciousness about life. It is only in our moments of despair that we surrender our humanness. We report diligently to that higher force, higher consciousness that is within us all the time. I firmly believe that we will save ourselves, folks, a great deal of grief if we lived from the truth that we as humans can't do it. We cannot do it alone. Yet through our higher consciousness, we are the conduit. The higher consciousness moves through us, and it moves us through victimization, through lack, deprivation, disease, poverty, fear, and confusion. So hear me now. Why not make that a permanent residence? I want you to affirm with me today, folks. Type in the comment section. Let me see you. Come on, get ready. Sharpen your typing fingers. Affirm with me. I live, move, and have. I live, move, and have by being in a higher authority always. By being in a higher authority always. That's your affirmation for today. I live, move, and have by being in a higher authority always. be careful now that you don't get the order mixed up, and through lack of humility, you lose your way and still maintain that ego that will be the death of you. Pride you express to others is nothing but ego, useless. Pride you express silently to yourself is real pride. I'm in, I'm out. Toodaloo, folks. I'm gone. See you next week, God willing, for regular programming. Until then, I'm beckoning you to stay safe, stay well, and remain lifted. Do not yield to distractions. Stay focused. Remember, the noise in the market is never the sale. So, peace and blessings to all of you, and trust that you have a productive week, starting with a restful Sunday tomorrow.
EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development and training specialist Eddie Frederick is powered by Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited and Tillian Group Country Cold Store.
Living with the pandemic hasn't been easy, but that does not mean that life has to fall apart. Work, play, and take care of your finances from home. Connect with friends on social media. Host Zoom meetings with colleagues and use Co-op Bank's e-banking to pay your bills and manage your funds. Log on to www.grenadacoopbank.com and sign up for Co-op Bank's e-banking.
I want the best for my family, so every meal has to be perfect. Every bite has to say, There's no doubt in my mind that the best in frozen meats and vegetables has to come from the Country Cold Store. Hams, turkeys, sausages, beef, pork, chicken. I just don't know my family is in safe hands. Thank you, Country Cold Store, for being there for us for the past 40 years.
The Country Cold Store, providing the best in frozen meats and vegetables since 1969.
Co-op Bank introduces e-payments, our new e-banking feature that allows you to send money to friends or family. E-payments, a swift, simple, and secure way of transferring money.
Welcome home. Believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give. It's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Untitled underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
We have a special challenge to all who decide to come into the room and be a part of EDDIE-FICATION. The person making the most outstandingly relevant comment in keeping with our topic is in for a special prize. On the table is a breakfast for two at Oliver's Restaurant at world-famous 6-star Diamond 5 Diamond Spice Island Beach Resort. Lucky winner must make a reservation and present gift certificate upon arrival at the appointed time to redeem this gift. This will give you a wonderful opportunity to experience great service like you've never experienced it right here in Grenada from a business that is locally owned, locally managed, locally staffed, and locally trained. A true symbol of our national independence, Spice Island Beach Resort.
Eddie Frederick has got it all. Inspiration, motivation, great advice, and biting opinion pieces as only Eddie Frederick can deliver. Eddie Frederick has got it all. EDDIE-FICATION with consultant human resource development